This guy is nuts. Is he really making daily recordings of his possible divorce and releasing it as a podcast? They both cheated on each other? She's making 6 figures and still doesn't contribute to any joint endeavors financially? Why is she still with him? Why is he still with her? I can't wait for the next episode. This helps me be a better wife. So this is how men think. I hate my husband less now. I understand my wife more now. These are some of the listener comments to the Divorce Diaries podcast. All over the map, I know. These anonymous accounts of events should resonate with anyone that has been married, is married, or is preparing for marriage, and helps couples avoid pitfalls as they might prepare for marriage. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else. At Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link in description. Now for today's episode.
This is very troubling. What's going on right now? Breaking habits is hard for both of us. And I know my wife has got to be going through a really difficult time right now for herself. I woke up this morning to a text message from her saying that I've asked repeatedly for both the girls' birth certificates and social security cards. Thank you for bringing, and she names one of my kids. Please give me the other kids as well. Additionally, you asked to work out a schedule to see the kids on December 22nd, 2021. I asked you on Christmas Eve for your proposal for time with them, and you have yet to provide one. I asked the one child, and she proposed every other Sunday. Now, first, let's just dissect that. She's talking to a child. I haven't proposed, that's why I hadn't done what I said I was going to do. So that is on me, that I didn't propose that. But the funny part is, my soon-to-be ex's perspective is, and you can see the theme that I have created in my life with this woman. I have allowed her to tell me what to do. And now I am aware that I have created an environment where I am told what to do. I'm sort of commanded and I'm bossed around. Now, it's not like go in there, clean your room, sit down, shut up, or anything like that. No. That doesn't happen, but I'm actually bossed around. Because she can say, hey, give me this. And usually, I do it. I was trying to be a dutiful husband, and when my wife asks me to do something, I want to do it. I feel like she's motivated well. I don't feel like she's trying to tell me to do things that I should or shouldn't do. I feel like she's not trying to tell me things that I shouldn't do. I believe that she's motivated well, but I'm now looking at this a little bit differently, and she's bossy. In fact, she called herself, the last time we actually had a somewhat of a decent time together, we went out to a place and had some drinks, and she said, you are with a boss ass bitch, or you were with a boss ass bitch, or you now realize that you were with a boss ass bitch. And she just continued to say that statement. And I was looking at her as she's saying it, but I see her differently now. So I see her as the more authentic version of herself that she is. And she's right. She is a boss ass bitch. She totally is. Who the fuck wants to deal with a man or a woman that is a boss ass anything? No one wants to be bossed around or treated or made to feel like they're being bossed or commanded to do things. And right now, she wants the birth certificate and social security card for the kids that are living with her. I totally understand that. Now, we do not have a custody arrangement figured out. She didn't have any problems when we were all living under the same roof and everything was, in the house. She didn't have a problem with that, and that's okay. Now things are a bit different. I still have all the documents because I was the one that took care of everything. I was the one that organized everything. I was the one that had copies of this, and I ran to the birth certificate office. I ran to the social security office, and I always got the things for people. I paid for everyone's passports. I shuffled them all there. I made all the appointments. I did all these sort of custodial things concerning the documentation, I guess. And now I believe. Actually, I'm not going to give my wife these documents. I'm not going to do it. She has every right to go down to the Department of whatever, vital records, and get the social security cards and birth certificates that she needs. And I have every right to have my own as well. I already have these, so if she really wants them, she can go and get them. And in the past, this is just showing the growth that's in me. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I am no longer going to bend to what anybody says they want me to do. It is very difficult having the confidence to step into being a man and telling people that those two words that really no one really likes to hear, but it shows verbally anyway that you actually have boundaries for yourself. And that word is no. No. I'm not happy that I'm having to send over all of these financial documents to my lawyer right now so that my lawyer can then go and tell my wife's lawyer that she secured first when she threatened me for an astronomical amount for child support, where she makes so much money she doesn't even need that, and I've paid so much and I've bailed her out of her debt so often for so many years straight, and I've paid all of the bills during our entire two plus decade relationship. I've paid all of the bills, allowing her to carry consistent debt for the majority of the time of our marriage. And now she's literally trying to seek to take money from me so I can help supplement her life. Granted, I will give her the benefit of the doubt. In my words, I don't believe for a moment that she thinks about me or that she cares about me, because she's already said in text, my financial problems are not her concern. Even though her financial problems or her financial situation was my concern for every year of our relationship, my financial issues, or whatever they might be right now, are not her concern. She's been very honest the entire time. And now I'm respecting that. I'm not going to give her these documents. She can go get them herself. But she's just so very used to telling me what to do. And that's fair. She should feel that way, because every time she's told me to do something, I've done it. Even if I said, hey, I don't think I should do this, I don't want to do that. She's like, no, but you're going to like do that, and that's what's going to happen. I'm like, okay, and I would just do it to keep the peace and not cause waves, not make waves, not ruffle feathers. That's what I wanted to do, and that's what I try to do as a husband. But now that she's asking me for these things, no. And let me just go over a couple of reasons why. I've been looking very intently at the notes for my daughter's therapy sessions that she's having. And most of my daughter's therapy sessions are not being attended only by my daughter. And she's very young. She started when she was 8. She's not in the therapy sessions by herself. She's in the therapy sessions with my wife. My wife has even taken over some of her therapy sessions solely by herself. I have reached out to the therapist and asked, hey, could you reach out, if you ever need anything. I'm the kid's dad, and I would love to be of any help of any kind if you ever think you need me. I want to help my daughter. I've gotten no response, and we are on month number 3, approaching the 4th month, and I haven't had a response yet. So what I'm able to glean from this, especially with my daughter saying repeatedly that she wants to live with me, but then when she goes home, she then changes her mind. She then sends me like crying emojis and says, I can't do this. This is so stressful. I'm going back and forth. And then she doesn't talk to me for a few days because her mom gets to her, talks her out of it. She goes to a therapy session. That talks her out of it. So now I don't trust my wife at all. In fact, I trust my wife to do things that are 100% in her best interest and 100% not in the best interest of our children. My wife, I understand, is one of the most selfish, backstabbing, lying, manipulative, dirty and dark people that I've ever had in my life. I get it. I'm not going to, and I'm willing to say, hey, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong about that? What if I just made too egregious a statement and I have too dark a disposition on how I'm going to move forward? I don't care. On the balance of probabilities, the things that my wife has done over the years and is currently doing now, she's showing me that she cares nothing for anyone. She only cares about herself. She is willing to lie to her children by leaving out things that she does, painting a picture of me that paints me in the worst light possible and her in the best, not either of us in a fair light. And now that I understand that's who she is, I will not be cooperating with her at all. I will cooperate with whatever is decided legally by the lawyers and stuff like that. But she even said, hey, I talked to the kid and the kid wants to come and see you every other Sunday. I'm like, what? The best thing, the kid grew up with her dad and her mom in her house for 100% of her life. So now that we are split up, fairly, time should be split up. But you're not going to support time being split up because you think that you are the better parent and the child should be with you way more often than they should be with me. So since you're that way, that parable of those two moms, I believe it's a biblical parable that was told. There was a child that was kidnapped, I believe. I think that's the story. I believe there was a child that was kidnapped, a baby, an infant. And the infant was finally located. And there were two mothers that were saying that they were the mother of this child. They brought this child and the two mothers before the king. And the king said, how am I to choose which one of you is the child's mother? They both said, well, I am, clearly. The other one said, well, I am, clearly. Okay. The king said, you know what we'll do? We will cut the baby in half. And you will take half of the baby, and you will take half of the baby. One woman said, that's fine. Go ahead. Cut the baby in half. The other woman said, no, no, no. Do not cut the baby in half. Just give it to her. I would rather you give the baby to her than cut the baby in half. The king looked at the lady that said, give the baby to the other mother and said, understood. Guards, give the baby to the mother that said, give it to the, don't cut the baby in half. The mother that said, cut the baby in half, she wailed, she screamed, she says, why? Why would you do that, king? And the king said, a real mother, the true mother of this baby has shown herself, because a real mother and the true mother would never want any harm to come to her baby. She would rather live in anguish for the rest of her life, but knowing that her baby is okay. So you saying, cut the baby in half, you showed us all you are not the baby's mother. And my wife is more willing to slice my daughter in half emotionally than do what's best for her and put her own angry feelings toward me to the side. She would rather put my daughter in the middle, manipulate her therapy sessions and her mind, as opposed to being fair, just, and right, and just not saying anything else to my daughter about what goes on with us. She would have apologized to my daughter for telling her about breakups that my wife and I had before we ever got married. We were 16 years old. She would go to my older children and say, I'm so sorry for putting you in the middle. But she's not sorry for putting them in the middle, because she continues to put them all in the middle. And so she is showing her hand. She cares nothing about them, because she's only going to, she's telling them stories from the past that don't concern them, and the stories that she's choosing to tell them from the past, she's leaving out the things that she did. She's leaving out her boyfriends, her affairs, her not boyfriends, the dates she's gone on with other guys. She's willfully leaving all of those things out, leaving out the fact that dad's paid a lot of my debt, and I've been very responsible financially, but he's paid for everything and allowed us to stay afloat while I was able to be the frivolous spender that I was. And I didn't save any money during our marriage. And when I say didn't save any, I mean a dime. I didn't save a dime. All the money that your father saves for you guys, he saved by himself. All the money he saved for whatever savings he or we had as a family, he did that. All of our vacations, he foot those bills. He was a very shrewd, rigid saver because I was a very frivolous spender. Your dad was very responsible while I was not. Now, I'm still upset at him for the things that he did. I'm still frustrated by how our marriage went and ended up. I still do feel that we're not meant to be together, whatever her truth might be. But to slander me and make me seem like I'm a horrible man that was out to hurt her or get her is a terrible thing. But I understand that's who my wife is, and I'm no longer going to make excuses like she's not this dark, dastardly, determined person that doesn't care who she hurts. As long as she is viewed as a victim, she's good. Knowing that's her truth, I'm absolutely done with her. And it's going to be a very long road, both for me, just claiming that mantle of respect for myself and saying, look, just because people tell you to do something, it doesn't mean you have to do it. Don't do that. Do not do it. And it's going to take her some learning. I don't know if she'll ever learn, and I don't care. She's just not going to get responses from me. She won't elicit reactions. I won't have outbursts, and it is very hard. It's hard when a person is used to being able to gaslight or manipulate you, and you get into a point where you are not allowing them to gaslight or manipulate you. It's hard. And it's going to be hard for my ex, soon-to-be ex as well. But we all have our crosses to bear. We all have our fires to go through. And this is going to be hers. Her waking up to the fact that she has no more power over me. Because the only power she had was the power that I gave her. So, if you're listening, which I'm sure that you might in the future, you have no more power over me. You do yourself a favor to just not try. Don't try. You're going to get nothing here.
Wow, that was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The Daily Saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.